Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is HD, and it's time for game number 3 between Strelok and Sen in the HD World Tournament. Once again, the semifinals, and Strelok taking a huge lead in this series, 2-0, which of course means if he wins this next game right here on Shakuris Plateau, I'll talk about that map in a second. If he wins this game, he is going to the grand finals. He has seeded himself and has he's among the greats. He deserves it. If he wins this game, I have no complaints whatsoever. He's played brilliant StarCraft. Sen, meanwhile, has some work ahead of him. He's shown how dominating of a player he can be, especially against Protoss players. He hasn't dropped a single game until he ran into the wall known as Strelok, the Great Wall of Strelok, and as a result now has lost 2 games so far in a row. And the pressure's on, man. He needs to perform here. He has to win this game if he wants to go on to the grand finals. Now, I like the map choice. You've got Terminus, you've got Shakuris Plateau. Both are great Zerg versus Terran maps because they're so big and so wide open, and you guys all know Zerg players love macro. If you are a follower of Hydra, at least, you love macro. If you're a follower of July Zerg, you probably love crazy, all-out, doesn't even make sense, 2 + 2 = 5 aggression. I don't think Sen is the type of player that plays aggressive in Zerg versus Terran, though. He is the type to be aggressive in ZVP, but I haven't really seen that play style. I haven't seen anything aggressive from him in Zerg versus Terran yet. I'll hold my tongue, though. Anything can happen. He is down by 2 games. He may opt to do some kind of cheese. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. Strelok, though, dropping the barracks, dropping the refinery, everything looking standard. They both have spawned cross-spawn. Overlord will scoochie on over down here at the bottom right-hand side, and it's going to see no base there. We'll immediately go up towards the top right, and Sen has basically opened every single game with the same strategy. Early hatchery, 14 hatch into spawning pool. It works. The only thing you really have to fear when you go for 14 hatch, the only thing you have to fear is fear itself. No, the only thing you have to fear is fear itself and the 2 barracks. But thankfully, Strelok, not really the type of player, at least not the type of player that likes to open 2 barracks against Zerg. So Sen has been very comfortable opening up with that early hatchery and then the spawning pool. Once again, Drone Scout will be denied by that supply depot, and we'll see what Strelok decides to do. It looks like he is bringing back the Reaper once again. And maybe this is just his new build style. He just likes to open up with a couple early Reapers to harass the Zerg player. And I gotta say, why not? They're still good units even with the nerf. All the Zerg units you can build right now do not counter the Reaper very well, minus the Queen. And even with the Queen, without creep spread between the main and the natural, a Queen is so slow that a Reaper can easily harass before the second Queen pops out. So here we are. The Reaper is now on the way. We actually have no more Reapers being produced back at home. So it is actually going to be a single Reaper attack here. Double gas being mined for Strelok. Could possibly be a starport opening once again. He's done that both games so far. Gonna run in here with the Reaper. Has an SCV as well. I don't think he's going to try to drop a bunker, just because he doesn't look like he's committing to this attack. And he may lose this Reaper if he's not careful. Strelok, don't lose your Reaper! Oh no, loses the Reaper there. Wow, that is an uncharacteristic mistake of a player of this high caliber, to just mismanage your troops abroad and just let a Reaper die. I mean, how is Strelok going to write that letter to that Reaper's family? I forgot to tell the Reaper to run away. I'm sorry. So that cannot be good, but Strelok here is going to quickly go into a starport here. His strategy basically to take to the skies once again. I don't know if it's going to work. Sen in the main and the natural doesn't have a lair yet, so it could. Theoretically, he only has a Queen at each expansion, and if the Banshee gets Cloak, that could be quite disastrous. And yes, we do have Cloak on the way, with the Banshee quickly coming out. Also a bunker at the front here, which is basically going to deny all forms of mobile scouting on the ground. So this starport is just as good as hidden. And I don't think this Overlord is going to get in there in time to see the starport, even if it should start moving right now, which it isn't. So yeah, these Zerglings are going to be deflected right away by that bunker, which is held down by 3 Marines. And with the Banshees now on the way, once again, we're going to be in a pressure situation for Sen. Sen does not have any anti-air. It looks like he's gearing up to defend against a Hellion harass, which is not going to come. He's been droning up all this time, so he's got 44 drones, but unfortunately, drones, you can drone up to your heart's desire and content, but once the Banshees come, your drones are as good as squash diddly squat, and they are not going to do much whatsoever. So Sen better hope here that he gets as much mining as possible while those drones are still alive, and he better get some queens out. He's got 2 queens at the main right now, thankfully, and he does have a lair and an Evo chamber coming out. So nice. He will be able to get some spores eventually, but not before this Banshee comes in and not before it does some damage. Immediately running into 2 queens though. Nice by Softball, or by Sen. And getting an auxiliary queen at each hatchery, but like I said, no spores in range means this Banshee will get a ton of kills. Focus the drones down is exactly what Strelok wants to do right now. This Banshee is going to make up for that Reaper's death. And then some, killing 7 drones, make it 8 drones. I always get confused whether that's an 8 or 9. Forcing Sen to get a Overseer out right here, but I don't know about that Overseer. Yeah, I guess he needs one to protect his spawning pool, but you know, that Banshee is eventually going to run out of energy. I don't know if the Overseer was quite necessary. But he has a second Banshee coming in here right now, doing good damage. And Sen here, I think he has enough queens to deflect this. Yes, Strelok is going to have to be pushed back here. I think that's going to be the end of the Banshee harass. But if we pull up that income tab, Strelok did good damage. He killed off about 10 drones or so, losing a Banshee there. But we can see that Sen not really caring that he lost the drones, and all this time he's just been building more drones. His keyboard, the only button he's been pushing essentially is D for drones. He has no other attacking units. I don't think he has a single Zergling on the map. Okay, he's got 3. So he's got Zerglings scouting around the map, 1 at each Xel'Naga and 1 scouting. But really, his entire army is composed of drones and queens. And this is basically Sen's idea here, is just to go into the late game with a strong macro economy to fund that kind of a strategy. And Strelok every single game has been trying to bust down the Zerg player, and I gotta say, in game 1 worked really well. Game 2 he did some pretty decent damage. Game 3 here he also did good damage, but I feel like Sen not building any attacking units and only building drones means that he's still ahead in the economy. But he needs to quickly get some mutas out here, and yeah, he does have 8 mutalisks coming out, so finally he's going to get some anti-air to deal with these Banshees that can actually fly as well, and he's trying to keep his queen alive here. This queen says, "Save me, partner!" And it looks like with the Overseer coming in here, we'll deflect that Banshee, allowing Sen to grab the 3rd hatchery. And Sen is looking pretty good, I gotta say. Good economy, good drone saturation, has about 10 mutalisks on the map, good creep spread as well. Once again, one of the most important factors that is all too often forgotten in Zerg play is that creep spread. Kind of like another resource management that you do have to manage very well. Strelok here pushing out with Marines and tanks. I feel like this is a very early push before shields actually finish. There is stim, but no weapons upgrades. I really feel like Strelok should wait for shields and weapons here, but he is pushing out very boldly. This is either very courageous or very stupid, I cannot tell. It's one or the other. And Strelok here is going to push right into this hatchery. He needs to siege his tanks up right now, but it may be too late. The Baneling's allowed to run in here, and wow, my god. Those Marines just not enough anti-air, no shields, no +1 weapons, means these mutalisks just cleaned up. And Sen takes that game convincingly with a defensive attack forcing Strelok to essentially exit out of this game and GG. So nice play, nice defense, nice hold by Sen, and I have to commend Sen's I have to say very bold and courageous eco style, which was just build drones. I don't care if you've got Banshees coming for me. That's what queens are for. They're for anti-air purposes. I'm just going to rely on my queens and my drones, and eventually builds the mutalisks that he needs. And because he had so many drones, he was able to fund like 12 mutalisks once they popped out. And you know, nice hold. And I also have to say that now that Sen has won this game, he is back in it, guys. The series is now 1-2, and if he wins the next game, it is going to be tied up. So Sen doing really nicely for himself, swinging the tables back in his favor. We are going to move on to game 4, but remember, Strelok now the loser, getting to pick the next map here in this semifinal series. So stay tuned, guys. HD signing out.